Hello, esteemed members of Parliament. This is the Bishop of Durham. Sorry I couldn't make it in time today. Just thought I'd broadcast a little message to y'all from my personal quarters. I'm speaking on defense tax today. I'm not sure if I'm going to speak before people, maybe after people, but let's just talk about it. If we want to look at the effects of heavy taxation on the people, we don't have to look any further than the amicable grant of 1525. Let me give you the facts. This was just about a decade ago. Francis, the King of France, had been captured. And when Henry caught word of this, his ears perked up because he'd been trying to claim some land in France for a while. So he wanted to mount an invasion immediately. But his pockets were hurting because he had just tried to mount an invasion on France 2 years ago. So in order to raise emergency funds, he pushed the amicable grant of 1525 with the help of Wolsey. And it basically demanded between a tenth and a sixth of the laity's goods. And naturally, the laity were incredulous. You know, a tenth and a sixth of our goods? People can pay that. They barely had enough to put like a loaf of bread on the table at night. And so they rioted. And the reaction in Suffolk was the most memorable because there was a taxpayer strike, threat of an armed rebellion, and 10,000 men, maybe individuals, marched on Lavenham in protest. And it was actually thanks to the Dukes of Norfolk and Suffolk that the protest was quelled. So y'all, if you're watching this, I hope y'all are there today, should know what I'm talking about firsthand. Heavy taxation is not handled well by the laity. Here's a quote from Erasmus, Education of a Christian Prince. A prince should studiously endeavor to minimize his demands on the people. The most desirable way of increasing revenue is to cut off the unnecessary extravagances and to be interested in the proper administration of the kingdom rather than the extension of its boundaries. Listen, in placing heavy taxes upon the people to fund war or military action, you are making yourself enemy to your own laity while also seeking conflict with foreign powers, making enemies across borders. It puts you in a position of ultimate vulnerability. And I'll follow that with this excellent quote from an unknown author. On the whole, the best fortress you can have is in not being hated by your subjects. Okay, so I propose that should a defense tax be put in place, it should take into consideration the wealth and income of the laity so that as little burden as possible falls on the poor, those who barely have enough to feed themselves, feed their family. So we need to take their wealth into consideration before we place a tax upon them. We need to leave it, to the discretion of the people. And I know what some of y'all are going to say. The distinct difference between what I'm talking about and a defense tax is that the amicable grant was funding military action, while the defense tax obviously defends us from action. And to that I say, a king ruling in a Christian manner shouldn't have to do very much defending. And I'm not there in person, so I'm feeling like kind of a anonymity high. And also, listen, I have seen the way all of you clutch onto your chits, right? And when you're required to give one up to somebody, like, you don't handle it well. Growing poorer is held in little esteem by any. So I think anyone who supports heavy taxation without an underlying system is a slave to someone else's or some underlying agenda. So I think we should distribute taxation equitably. Thank you.